Welcome back, Unfiltered Waters family. It is another Wednesday. It is another amazing episode. We are well into 2025.
It's just saying 2025 is just a wild concept to me.
Isn't it so weird?
Have you messed up on dating stuff yet?
I will do that until April.
Yeah. You're like, oh, 25.
Yeah, no, I will do that until April. It's still, it's honestly surreal to me that we're in a new year. Like, there's so much that's going to happen this year.
So many exciting things coming up.
I know. What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to?
What am I excited about? I am excited about a couple of things. We might have this incredible trip coming up in a couple weeks.
For the podcast.
So
everyone send the good karma, because if it happens, it's going to be an amazing experience with some incredible guests and interviews. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for that.
Unfiltered Waters on the Road series. Do you remember like thinking back to the beginning? It wasn't the beginning of the year when we went, but it was when we launched the episode. But like when we went to Caleb's and then we got Mexican after and toasted with margaritas, and it was so fun. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And I've got a trip to Miami at the end of January, which I'm excited about as well, because it's freezing here and it won't be in Miami.
Very true.
And I'm excited about planning your sprinkle.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's so soon.
Planning is going well.
Oh my gosh,
for that.
It's like a month away.
Yeah. So obviously shout out to my mother-in-law who already has all the ideals dialed in, all the photo op
bless her heart
moments and what we're doing. So she'll be flying in for that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for you guys.
It'll be so fun.
It is. It's going to go by so fast. I have pretty much 2 more months before I can't travel anymore. Yeah. And then we're just hunkering down and waiting for a little one to get here.
Yeah.
So
how are you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm starting to get tired again. Like that's definitely starting to hit in. So trying to just be super aware of giving myself the rest that I need.
And
which I've
what's the
never been good at. Grace.
Yes.
Lots of grace. But it was perfect. I mean, I feel like all the holidays just went so well. Mm-hmm. We made so many beautiful memories, and now it's just, a little more time to get a little bit more work done before starting this next chapter. Mm-hmm. So it's wild, but we have so much to look forward to the podcast this year. I know we sat down with our production team and our agent and just really mapped out like what we want this year to look like. And we're just ultimately really hoping to deliver for you guys. Like we just want this year to be amazing. And obviously we're coming off of an Olympic year, a Paralympic year. Like
hard to top.
A hard act to follow. But we have some dream guests that we want to try and have on, and just really different things we want to do to continue to make this something that's really special and meaningful for you guys. So we are so excited to have this episode be one of the first of this year, because it is absolutely incredible. Yeah. Our guest today is McKenzie Coan. She is a Paralympic swimmer, a 4-time Paralympian, a 4-time gold medalist, a 7-time Paralympic medalist, and a 9-time world champion. She's also a public speaker, which is so evident
it's so in this interview. Yes.
She is such a good storyteller. She is so eloquent in the way that she speaks, the way that she shares her stories, from the highest of high moments and the lowest of lows. And there just like wasn't a moment of this that I wasn't sitting in utter rapture listening to her.
I think our jaws were on the floor for like 45 minutes of the episode. And I mean, the thing that is so interesting and inspiring to me about McKenzie is just, we talked about this. She talks about these really hard things. And I know that they were so devastating to her, but it's just like, yeah, this happened. Okay. Like she's just like, no, I'm just going to handle this and I'm going to move on. Yeah. And I think there's so many people out there that would get stuck and they wouldn't just keep moving forward. And it's, for me, just hearing her talk about breaking bones and
so casually.
Yeah. And so it almost to the point where if you weren't really diving deep and thinking about it, you'd be like, oh, well, it was just easy for her, which is like the actual opposite. She's just one badass chick.
Without a doubt. And you guys, we start off the episode with that. So if you guys don't know Mackenzie's background, you'll learn about her diagnosis right away and learn more about her osteogenesis imperfecta. And it's just unbelievable the things that she has overcome, and her word at the end, was just so perfect for her. And it just that I was honestly rendered speechless. I just didn't have anything to say, because I was like, you are Like you are that word.
You define that.
Yeah, you just completely, that is who you are.
Yeah.
And both physicality and your mindset. And so it is amazing. You guys, we're so excited for you to listen to this. Obviously, we've got 4 Paralympic experiences to span through, and in between, she's also applying for law school as she gets prepared to train for her 5th Paralympics in LA. So we talk about all of that, a few other things for you guys. If you want to learn more about Mackenzie's story, she has an amazing book. It's called Breaking Free, Shattering Expectations and Thriving with Ambition in the Pursuit of Gold. And her website is McKenzieCoan.com. So there's plenty of places for you guys to go and learn more about her. Of course, she's on socials as well, but we are really excited for you guys to listen to this episode.
Yeah. So without further ado, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, we're saying it together. Okay.
Without further ado,
Here is McKenzie Coan.
Dream Recovery has been a longtime sponsor, and there is a major reason why. Missy and I use just about every single product that they have, from their silk pillowcases to their incredible eye mask to their Dream Tape and now their Dream Tape Plus. We cannot get enough. The tape is secure and it comes off super easy in the morning. And y'all know me, I am all about efficiency. So the fact that I'm knocking out some of my lip skincare routine as well as getting an awesome night rest, check all the boxes, and I love it. The benefits of mouth taping are really extensive, and since using it in the last year, I have fallen asleep faster, increased my REM sleep, aka the ability to recover well, and found myself waking up just so much more well rested. If you're nervous, I get it. They have their Dream Strips, which is just a smaller one, but just as effective to allow you to experience the incredible benefits. So in this busy world, why would you not take such an easy step to optimize your life? So we've got a special code for you. It's code Unfiltered to give you 30% off your first order or 50% off your first subscription of Dream Tape or Dream Tape Plus. Sleep well. McKenzie Coan, welcome to Unfiltered Waters. We are psyched.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this for so long. I'm so ready. We're going to have a great time today.
You're like, I'm spilling the tea. It's happening.
I'm ready. The tea, ladies, get your cups. The tea, it's time to sip some tea. We're ready to go.
We are set. The kettle has been boiled. The water is hot. The tea is steeping.
Now I'm like, what tea can we really get into?
I love it.
Oh my God.
Really, I'm so excited, Mackenzie. I think the first time, I know we met before this, but the first time I heard you speak was at Lead Summit. And I just remember being like so blown away by what you were speaking about, the poise with which you spoke about it, your realness, your vulnerability, your just everything. And so, I mean, ever since we've started the podcast, you have always been someone that I'm like, I cannot wait to get her on an episode. So when I reached out and you were just as excited as we were, it just meant the world. So thank you.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. That's so that means everything coming from you. Seriously, thank you.
Well, I feel like that for us too is like we're always excited when we reach out. So having equal excitement back always means a lot.
It feels really good.
It feels really good. Well, this episode is airing in 2025, which is incredible. So what are you excited about in the new year? What did you do for New Year's, or what are you planning to do for New Year's? And do you set resolutions?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I always feel like coming off of like a Paralympic Games is a really exciting time because it's almost like a reset, before you go into the next quad, of course. Yep. So I've been spending a lot of time kind of thinking about what my 2025 is going to be like, what I want to do. And so I've come off games. I'm back in the water now. I'm training, but also a really big life change is coming. I am applying to law school right now. And so my 2025, I know, oh, thank you. I love it now. But I'm in the process right now of applying. That is taking up a big chunk of my time. But I'm really looking forward to next year just to know what school I'm going to end up at and what life is going to look like balancing law school and training full time. So
what are your tasks going to be super easy? I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like your 5th Paralympic Games, and then it's just like law school. So
I love that energy. I need that energy going into next year. But
there's
I'm
nothing you cannot do.
I'm really excited. So ringing in the new year, I'm going to be with my boyfriend. We recently moved to Boston, actually. So I'm still like trying to get used to it here. I love it. But we'll be back home in Baltimore for New Year's. So I'm really looking forward to kind of celebrating a new chapter.
Are you guys stay-inners or go outers?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So it honestly depends on the year. I could go either way. I like to be at home in my bed by 8 p.m. every night. So I get to stay up till midnight, or I make myself stay up till midnight. So I could be out, but most of the time I like to be in. So we're going to see kind of where the wind takes us at night.
I love it. What are you on New Year's? Are you a stay-in or a go-outer?
I'm a mix. I feel like I don't love like the hype of like just like mass chaos.
Yeah.
Like especially like in a
the
big
really
city.
overwhelming ones.
Yeah. Or like you go to, you like book the place and you like pay all the money and then there's like a line of 1,000 people for the bathroom, So it's just like, I don't love that, but I'm the opposite, McKenzie. Like I love going out and I'm like, yes, like let's have a great time. But on New Year's, I think I'm more and more thinking like just like with friends, and have fun and stuff. But I mean, the Inner Harbor in Baltimore has high potential. There's a lot of stuff there.
There's so much to do there. It's such a vibe, honestly. It's so much fun.
It is such a vibe.
Ugh, I can't wait. It's going to be so fun to celebrate. All right, my girl. So what we were thinking is that we were going to kind of take it back from the beginning, because your journey has just been absolutely incredible and filled with amazing highs. But as you've been so open about, also filled with lots of lows and challenges and struggle throughout all of it. So we want to touch on a bunch of different things, but we just thought we'd start off by really introducing you, your diagnosis, how you found the Paralympic movement, and really just kind of lay that foundation for our listeners. So we're going to take it really far back to that 19-day-old diagnosis that you got with osteogenesis imperfecta. So tell us first off what OI is and walk us through those first, obviously you don't remember them, but what your family has told you of what those first even few weeks were like when you got your diagnosis, and just what that whole experience was like for your family.
Yes, absolutely. So osteogenesis imperfecta, I know it's quite a mouthful, basically simply means brittle bones. So I have bones that often break for little to no reason. One time I broke my arm folding clothes. Even twisting or turning the wrong way could cause a fracture. So it takes very, very little to fracture. I fracture often. And that day, when I was 19 days old, when I was diagnosed, the doctors told my parents that I would never hold my head up. I would never sit. I would never stand, crawl, walk, like every worst case scenario you could ever think of, they told my parents. And that's if I lived past infancy. So I can't imagine, I don't have children yet, but sitting there holding my 19-day-old baby girl and hearing of all the things that she was supposedly never going to do. And luckily, I was blessed with two really incredible parents who were never going to allow that to happen. They weren't going to let me become the textbook definition of a diagnosis. And so they took me away from that appointment and decided that wasn't going to be my future. And they looked for physical therapists. They looked for the best doctors, the best hospitals. And at 6 months old, I had my first physical therapy appointment. And between that diagnosis and that first appointment, there were a lot of hiccups. My mom was burping me one day and she accidentally broke my arm just from the simple act of, birthing a newborn baby. So there were a lot of uncertainties, but my parents really made all the difference because they weren't going to allow what other people said dictate my life. And that's kind of something I've really taken with me over the course of my life.
I was going to say, do you remember at an early age being told you couldn't do something, and how did that affect you in your childhood? Absolutely.
With swimming in particular, I would be on a pool deck. I remember this one instance really clearly. I was at a swim meet. I was about 7 years old, and you could always find me I had a little habit of racing up and down pool decks in my wheelchair because I liked how slick it was. And you could I'd like drift for my friends and stuff. And so it was so much fun. But I was rolling around the deck and this woman came up and stopped me. And she goes, what you're doing is really dangerous, don't you think? Like, you probably shouldn't be swimming in a lane with other kids. You probably shouldn't, be diving in and flip turning and all these things. And I just remember looking at her and even being that young, I just thought to myself, why are you trying to limit what I'm capable of? Like, I'm out here doing what everybody else is doing and I can do it just as well as they can. And that happened quite often to myself and my parents.
What were your parents saying? Like, what was that first conversation? I can't even imagine telling my child, hey, if you do X, Y, Z, you might break a bone. It's dangerous. Like, how did they communicate that for the first time?
Yes, it certainly took a lot of trial and error when I was younger. I think when you're young,
as we know, telling 2 and 3-year-olds that they can't do something normally ends up going the other way.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So they would tell me through a lot of trial and error, I would fracture bones and break things. In one instance in particular, I thought sock surfing on the hardwood floors of my house would be really fun. So I would put on socks and, skate around on the hardwood floors. And I learned the hard way one day that is not what I should be doing. And there were quite a few instances of that. But obviously with the age and the maturity, their words kind of stuck with me more and more. And we stopped having a lot of the trial and error events.
And it's so interesting too, McKenzie, because like hearing you talk about it, it's just, it has been a part of your life for your whole life. So there's many things that you do that are just like second nature that a lot of us wouldn't even think about. Like hearing you talk about how you really only walk looking down, because there's like so many accidents have happened when you're walking and you're looking up and you miss something and you slip, or how overly aware you are of wet floors. And like, that is the most, like the scariest thing in the world to you is a wet floor. And like, it's just, it's wild to think, but it's completely understandable that over that time. And like you said, with that maturity, you've learned kind of these tips and tricks of like what to really watch out for. And when you need to be extra careful, even if everyone around you is totally unaware of it.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like having this extra sense, if you will. I was talking to my brother not too long ago, actually. We were walking on the sidewalk and he just asked me, do you just, even with shoes on, the bottom of your feet, can you tell the difference between like different, like kind of parts of the ground? Like, can you tell you're on concrete and other things? It's just, I'd never thought about it really. And I thought to myself, yes, I can absolutely tell. I can tell just from a few seconds of walking on a specific type of flooring underneath me that I need to be extra cautious right now because this type of material is going to get slick and this is going to be dangerous for me. Or if I'm walking on something a little bit unfamiliar or new, the first few steps, I will actually kind of walk a little bit backwards, if you will, where I won't step like you normally would. I'll step toe first, get a feeling for it, and then I'll start walking normally again, just to get a sense for it. So it's really incredible when you have a disability or an impairment. You learn ways along the way to adapt. And sometimes it's just something really creative, like a really creative answer like that. And it kind of just stays with you. So you develop this extra sense for it.
Oh. And I imagine it becomes like at this point in your life, is it second nature? Like, is it even something in your consciousness that you're thinking about? Or is it just like, no, you just go into it when you're walking on certain surfaces?
Yeah, this is the crazy part. I don't even think about it anymore. Wow. It is totally not even something I have to typically put a second thought into, which is just the craziest part because it's just ingrained in me at this point.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to hear how swimming became second nature for you and when you first hopped in the pool. And then I loved reading that you became aware of the Paralympic movement at 8 years old, which I think we've talked to multiple Paralympians and it's usually much later in life. So can you share where your love for the water began and then how your first memory of watching the Paralympics on TV?
Yes. So I had been going to PT for about 4 years at this point, and we were making really great progress at my PT appointments, from range of motion to dexterity. My fine motor skills were really coming along well. And slowly but surely, I was hitting every single milestone I started to get emotional. It's just, I'm so proud of what we were able to accomplish and how far we've come, even to this day. Every milestone they told us that I would never see. Slowly but surely, I was a little bit behind everyone else, but we saw every single one of them. And that was because of my parents, because of my physical therapist and my surgeons. And so for the first 4 years, really intensive PT. That's how we got there to all those different milestones. But then we started to feel that I would benefit from something else. And my physical therapist actually recommended that I try aquatherapy. And I'm from a very small town in Georgia. We were driving 2.5 hours one way to get to my physical therapy appointments. Wow. Yes. A lot of time in the car on our way to Atlanta. And it just, at this point, I can only describe it as kind of like this fate type of feeling. They built an 8-lane, 25-yard pool with an extra therapy pool on the side, for like 10 minutes from my house. And that's when we needed it the absolute most. So we went over to that pool. They signed me up for an aquatherapy class with some other kids with special needs. And we started going to the pool like 3 or 4 times a week. And I still remember the day that I first had this feeling. I got out of my wheelchair and I did aquatherapy with a little life jacket on. And my mom put it on me. I got in the water, and I don't know what triggered it this day because I've been doing it for a few weeks at this point. But I remember looking back at my wheelchair and just thinking how free I was. And what a cool feeling it was that I didn't have to worry about the things that I had to worry about on land. I didn't have to worry about breaking a bone. It was just so freeing for me. And so that's the feeling that I fell in love with. So I continued through aquatherapy. I look forward to it every week. And I have 2 brothers. I'm a middle child. So I have an older brother and a younger brother. They were being brought to the pool as well. So my mom ended up putting them on the swim team. And I remember watching them from my therapy lessons, thinking to myself, why am I over here? Like, I would love to be over there with them. They look like they're having so much fun. So I told my mom one day, I want to be over there in the big kid pool. I want to join the swim team. And with every crazy thing I've ever told my mom, the same exact response. She took a deep breath in and she said, okay, how are we going to do it? So I found out you have to be able to swim 1 lap on your own in the lap pool. And obviously I couldn't do it with a life jacket. So she unzipped the life jacket and there's a trash can sitting there. She threw it in the trash can and she goes, it's time. She went and she got the coach. He came over there, dropped me in the water, and I just took off. Like, I swam 1 lap and 2 laps and
epic.
Like, so odd. It was like the most epic way to prove that I could do it. And so from that point on, I joined the swim team. And one of my absolute favorite things about competing were kind of the looks I would get from competitors and other people on the pool decks, because they would see me in my bright pink wheelchair rolling up behind the blocks. And then they would like a second look. And they probably didn't think much of my abilities until I hit the water. And I had heard a quote that somebody said, everyone is equal in the water. And I really took that to heart. It was almost as if I could shed my disability and just be like everyone else. So I loved age group swimming. I continued, going to practices and competitions with broken bones. It didn't matter to me. I wanted to be in the water. And there was one particular swim meet that truly changed the entire course of my life. I was on deck. I just swam the 500 freestyle. My first, you guys know what it is. The first 500 when you're really young. Terrifying. I was so terrified. And I did it, and I got out of the water, and I was celebrating with my mom. I swam 20 laps. I did it, And 2 officials were approaching me. And you guys know when officials are coming up to you at the end of a race, it's never good.
No. You just start crying before they even get to you. You're like, ugh.
Wait, that is exactly what I did too. Tears started to well up in my eyes. I looked up at my mom and I go, how do you get DQ'd in a 500? Like, how do you get DQ'd in freestyle? And my mom was just like, it's okay. They came up to us, and luckily I wasn't being DQ'd, so blessed. Thank you. But they go, have you ever heard of the Paralympics? And I go, oh my, the Olympics? I love the Olympics. Like, go USA. Like, yes, I'm all about them. And they're like, no, Paralympics, meaning parallel to the Olympic Games. And they told me it's the same elite worldwide sporting event held on the same 4-year cycle in the same venues as the Olympics, but for people with physical disabilities. So I went home that night and I Googled it with my mom. And in front of me were Paralympic legends like Erin Popovich and Jessica Long. And they had disabilities like me. They looked like me. And they were winning gold medals. And I turned to my mom and I go, very bold and feisty 8-year-old McKenzie, I go, Mom, I'm going to win a gold medal one day. I'm going to do it. And so she said, okay, how do we get there?
Yeah.
That is absolutely incredible. First off, I love your mom. Like, all the base, what I got from all of that is your mom is amazing. Absolutely love her. And you've done so much more than that. You're training now for your 5th Paralympic Games, which we'll get into the reflection on everything you have accomplished and what it must feel like for you now. But you ended up going to London, which was your first Paralympic Games, my first Olympic Games. So I love that we share that. And you just missed out on the podium there and kind of came back with like a vengeance. And you're like, Rio is coming and I am getting on that podium. And I love connecting that with that 8-year-old story of you being like, I'm going to win one. And so you get to your first Paralympics and it doesn't happen. You're like, all right, round 2, we're going. So tell us a little bit about kind of what it felt like to be in London, first off, and just having that first Paralympic experience, but then really getting that fire lit underneath you and coming back to go to Rio with just all the ambition and intention and intensity that you had.
London was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And that entire summer leading into the games, it felt like a fairy tale to me. I was at trials, and the day of my 16th birthday was my most important event, my best event, the 400 freestyle. And I kind of knew in the back of my mind, if I'm going to make a games, I really feel like the time is now, and it's going to be in the 400 freestyle. This is my bread and butter. I have poured my heart and soul, my, everything into training. And I went out there in prelims at trials, and you guys, I had the worst 400 freestyle I've ever had in my life. It was so bad. And it was so bad, you guys. You know that feeling when you get out of a race and you look up at, you know it before you even look up at the board.
Yeah. It's like you touch the wall and you don't even want to look.
Because you're like, how bad is this on a scale? Because,
That was absolutely me. So I knew execution-wise, it definitely didn't go the way I saw it happening or the way that I had trained for it to go. And I took like a really deep breath in. I looked at the time. It was exactly around what I thought it was going to be based off of how it went. But luckily, I had done enough to make the final. So I got out of the water and I was like visibly shaken up. I looked like a ghost. I went over to the warm-up pool and I was just in disbelief. And at the time, my mom was coaching me and she came over there and she didn't really say too much, which was kind of scary to me because Mama Coan isn't a quiet person. I get that from her. We're not quiet people. And she just goes, your warm down plan, get in, do it. Let's go back, refuel and rest. And I was like, okay, she is strangely stoic right now. So I got in and I just started, I don't know what prompted it. I just started thinking about every single practice I'd done up to that point, all the hard moments. And I just knew inside of me that I could do this. So I got out of the water, went back. I did the same thing in between. I came back that night and in the call room, I'm very much a music person. I don't talk to people. It's very different from my everyday personality. I need to be in my zone. And I had my music in, But I stopped the music and I just started having those same thoughts again. Like, am I really going to let all that work go to waste? And then I started thinking about every fracture, everything that I'd overcome. And that was the first time in my life I had ever used what I had been through as fuel to go out there and do my job. And I went out there and I had the swim of my life. It could not have been better. I won a best time. I got second by 11 hundredths of a second. Wow. And I made my first team on my 16th birthday. So that was a pretty cool gift. And something really special happened. I took that same mentality into the rest of that summer with training. So I showed up to London in the best shape I've ever been in, as prepared as I could possibly be. I went out there. I had a fantastic 400 free. I made it to finals. I came out 6th overall. Amazing. Which it was exciting, but I think kind of the catalyst for my motivation going into Rio happened in that very moment after I finished that 400 free final in London. I was getting out of the water. I looked back at the board and I go, I'm really proud of what I've done, which I'm proud of that today. I'm proud that I had that kind of self-awareness to be happy about my achievement, even though it wasn't quite what I wanted to go out and do. I'm proud of what I've done, but in 4 years, I will not be in the same place. I will be back in another games and I will be on the podium in Rio. And I took that with me. After I left London, I went back home. I started my college search and I actually found that I could swim in Division I swimming. And that's how I found Loyola in Maryland. Yes. I went there, I saw the coach, Brian Loeffler, and just immediately knew it was the place I was going to make all this work. So that was about 2 years later, and we were sitting in his office, one of our first meetings, and he goes, what do you want to accomplish here? And, of course, I want to be academically strong, but also in the water, I go, I want to win in Rio. And he said, you give me everything you have, and that's what's going to happen in Rio.
Brian's the best. I don't know if you know, but we're almost alums. I have 6 credits at Loyola, so basically graduated. Yeah, go Greyhounds. But yeah, I love hearing you. I loved hearing you talk about Brian, but even watching from afar because he has done so many things for the Paralympics. But I just feel like his mentality. I don't know what type of coach you've typically had, but he just kind of lets you go and is just the person in the driver's seat helping you. Like, how much did his mentality play a part in Rio?
Brian was absolutely everything to me on that road to Rio, and at the Rio Games, he actually came and he was in the stands for every single one of my races, prelims and finals. And leading into those games, he just reminded me all the time that I was so much more than a swimmer also. And I think, obviously what he's done in the pool, he pushed me day in and day out. And the difference was with him was that he made an effort to know me as more than just a swimmer. He genuinely wanted to know how things were going in my life. He wanted to know how my family was. He wanted to know how my classes were going. If I looked a little off one day, he would, come over there and just let me talk, let me vent, let me talk about life. So I think our relationship worked so well because I wasn't just a swimmer to him and he wasn't just a coach to me. He truly became a part of my family. So he knew me backwards and forwards. So that summer going into Rio, every single day, sometimes, it was really busy and kind of training in a college setting, the summertime, like some people will stay back to train. Some people will go home and train with their, club teams and whatnot. So it was a really small group there over that summer. We kind of formed this really epic Paralympic group with like 6 of us. But some of us were already working or some of us had other things going on. So the schedules were a little bit different. At times it would just be me and Brian at the pool doing workouts and he would be the one. I didn't have someone there doing them with me sometimes. He would be the one that kept me going. And he would know exactly what to say. If I was on the wall and, we're deep in 10 500s and I am on number 7 and I think I'm going to throw up, but he would know exactly what to say to me to keep me going. And he kept me calm because as we got closer to Rio, it was very evident that I had a really good shot to win some medals there. And he would always have me refocus on the process and on what I'm doing to execute. And the result will be what it is, and it will come after. So I think him knowing me and knowing how I operate, that was our key to success in Rio.
Which, spoiler alert, there was a lot of success in Rio. So you walk away with 3 golds and a silver. So like absolutely blow, I mean, just the expectations out of the water. You finally achieved this lifelong dream you've had of being a Paralympic gold medalist several times over. And part of your story that I think Katie and I are so grateful for that you talk about is we talk a lot about the Olympic and Paralympic depression that comes after that moment. And hearing you speak about this, we would just love to hear in your own words, you know, you've made it to this moment. It's everything you've worked for. It's everything you've fought for. Talk to us about your emotions and the struggle that you faced coming home from Rio, probably the best meet you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, coming back from Rio was hands down one of the most difficult times in my life. When I was at games, you guys know it takes so much to get there, and you pour so much of yourself into the process and the journey of making games, and then you get there, and I had so much success. And here I was fulfilling that goal and that dream of, you know, that 8-year-old little girl telling her mom that she was going to do it. Well, I did it. And I remember sitting there in Rio on the last night, and I had my medals in front of me because I'd taken a picture of them and their, you know, the cool medal boxes to send back to my family before I packed them up for travel. And I remember sitting there and I looked at them and I was just thinking to myself, I should feel happier, shouldn't I? Like, this just maybe doesn't feel like I thought it would. It did on the podium when I thought about all the people who helped get me there and how much sacrifice it took. But now I'm not feeling what I think I should be. Mm-hmm. So I left Rio and I went back to school. And, you know, the Paralympics take place 2 weeks after the Olympics. So it's a little bit more into the school year. So I had missed a month of classes, which I prepared as much as I could before I left. There's only so much you can do, though. So I went back to school and I was sitting in a class and it just hit me, like every single emotion. And I'm in the middle of a philosophy class. I'm just looking around. Everyone in that room has lived a normal life, did not give up everything they've had for their entire life to go, you know, swim in the Paralympic Games. They get to do normal things. And I felt a little bit envious of that for a minute. Mm-hmm. And I just thought to myself, every decision I've ever made, I don't feel as happy as I thought I would. I basically thought that winning a gold medal would fix all of that for me. And there's nothing higher that you could possibly do. So how do I get out of this rut? How do I get out of this feeling? So I had to look outward and get some help to just talk about how I was feeling. And I came to realize that the medals are great. They're really fun to win. But at the end of the day, like, I'm a human being. And I have more life to live than just swimming. And I think that was the thing that kind of saved me. Just realizing that my identity, while it took a lot to get there, was not consumed in swimming. And that was what I had the thinking of going into those games. So it was a really long process. I had to kind of come back to swimming and find that love for it again. I think there's a little bit of resentment there when I started to unpack everything. Brian was incredible in that because he really let me have some space. I would come into the pool, I would do the workouts, and he would check on me, but I wasn't being pushed as hard as I was, like I was before games. So I was really lucky I had a safe space.
I have a question around that because I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, how much do you think that post-Olympic and Paralympic depression is because so much of us and so many of us are obsessed with the outcome versus the process? And it's like actually just hit me like within, I'm just like, you know, we all talk about the process, and you have to fall in love with the process, but like you do, but like deep down, are we all still like, we're obsessed with the outcome, right? Which is normal because you've been thinking about it since you were 8 years old. So have you ventured into that space, and have you thought about the differences between your relationship with the process and your relationship with the outcome?
Yes, and it's still, I think to this day, even coming back after Paris, like I'm obviously a lot better equipped. I have an incredible sports psychologist who I work with at least every other week, and that's been going on for years. And I've learned a lot of the tools that I'm very thankful for this stage in my life coming back from these games. Definitely things I wish I knew back then, but even to this day, I think I'm still unpacking that a little bit. It's one thing to love the process, which I certainly do. I love going in every day and giving my all in training. I just think there's no better feeling than getting out and knowing I gave it everything I possibly could. But obviously that's daunting for, 4 years at a time. And I mean, obviously a lifetime, but obviously for us, it happens in 4-year increments. Thinking back on everything, it's a lot for 4 years. And then a lot of people don't realize this. I spend every day thinking about that outcome. And obviously you kind of have to sometimes to keep going and to get yourself through those workouts. Like if I'm in the trenches, I'm in the middle of a set, I'm probably going to think about an outcome goal of standing on the podium. That's probably what I need in some moments. But I gotta be honest with you, I think I'm still unpacking that a little bit to this day. But I think I've found ways to cope and have a healthier kind of mental balance the way I think about things.
Yeah. Same. Still unpacking that, but I just think it's such a thing that we all say it all the time, like fall in love with the process. Like that's how you get through it. But then I'm like, dang, like did I? Or was I just so obsessed with the outcome that that's what allowed me to get through the process? So it's like a very interesting question. So I appreciate your answer because I'm just like, well, I don't know yet. And we're all still figuring it out. Exactly. Well, I want to roll into then, you talk about Paris a lot, but something that really struck me kind of along those lines is what happened the year out from Paris and how you had to pull out of world championships, but kind of seemed like was a bit of a blessing. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but can you talk about what happened and that decision that then led to loving McKenzie the person and prioritizing McKenzie the person?
Yes, it was the summer of 2023. So last year was like July, like mid-July, I think. And our world championships team had just been named not too long before that. I was training and everything seemed to be going well. One day I woke up and I was pretty sick. I had a really, really bad respiratory infection. But in typical McKenzie fashion, I was not going to let that slow me down. So I said, you know what, we'll deal with it the best we can, but training has to be what it is right now. So I kept going like full throttle, and it had been about a week of this. There was a particularly hard practice. We were at Meadowbrook outside in the long course lanes. And let me tell you, it started
walls, super glamorous.
Super glam, love it, like photo ops everywhere. We were outside in the pool, and it was a pretty brutal long course, like distance free practice. So right up my alley. I was excited to like attack it, but truth be told, I was feeling really, really terrible. So we were doing a set of 400s, and in the middle of it, it started raining. And I was already very congested. I couldn't really breathe very well. And I just remember I started choking on so much water during this set. I had to stop. I could not keep going. And I got out of the water and there was this really odd ringing in the back of my left ear now. And I didn't know if it was just because I had coughed so hard, but it didn't feel right. So I left practice and I went to urgent care and they kind of just dismissed me. So I was like, maybe it'll go away in a couple of days. Just give it some time. So I went home. 2 days later, ended up back in urgent care. And then finally, for a third and final time, one Saturday night, I went to urgent care again because something didn't feel right. And I had told them time and time again. And they dismissed me. So I went home, woke up the next morning, and the left side of my face was completely paralyzed. And I looked in the bathroom mirror and I couldn't believe it. I thought I was having a stroke. So I called my boyfriend and he came and picked me up, and I kind of sugarcoated it on the phone. I was like, yeah, it's probably not a really big deal, but
don't freak out.
Totally fine. fine. You're like an hour away, but this is just what's happening. I might like go to the ER in a bit, just see if it goes away, you know? And he
Stop
goes,
by.
yeah, exactly. He comes over and he goes, okay. Like I've never seen his face like that. He starts grabbing my purse and I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm just packing you a bag, you know, let's go to the ER. Just, you know, you have great insurance. Let's just go see what's happening. Go. You know, so we went to the ER within 10 seconds and I've been through my fair share of ER visits. Believe me, I was back in a room being evaluated. So I spent the night there and then they came back the next day and told me I had Bell's palsy. When they told me I had Bell's palsy, they said, yeah, there's like a 60% chance that this will never heal. Keep in mind, I am sitting here. Breathing is really hard because I can't use the left side of my face. I can't feel anything on this side. I can't blink. I can't to sleep that night, which would become a common occurrence over the next few months. I had to tape my eye shut with an eye patch over it. So just the craziest thing. So I went home, immediately found like acupuncture and things I could do. But I just, in my mind, I'd been through so much. I've been swimming with broken femurs, broken ribs in Rio. Like there's nothing I can't handle. Right. So I go to the pool and I have never struggled so much in my entire life. I just didn't realize how much, I mean, you realize how much of a difference it makes, but you really don't until you can't use certain things.
Half of your face.
Exactly. So I went to training and I just remember thinking, uh-oh, this is not good. And I just kept going back and kept trying. And there was multiple times, I know Brian knew that this was happening. I was just like crying in the water, but I was trying to hide it with my goggles and I just wouldn't talk about it. So Brian pulls me aside one day. I tried to do everything I could. Breathe to the other side. Well, that still doesn't help me because one side's not functioning. I'm still choking on water. I have to stop, take my goggles off to blink. It was crazy. And Brian goes, why are you doing this to yourself? And I go, we leave for Worlds in like 2 weeks. I've never missed a major meet, not for any fracture, not for anything. And he kind of just leaned forward and he goes, you have nothing left to prove to anyone. We know how strong you are, but right now you need to take care of yourself. And I'm sitting here telling him, no, I'm going to go to Worlds. And he goes, McKenzie, what is that going to do for you? And so I thought about it. The more time that I spent fighting it, the less time that I was spending getting better and getting everything together for next year's games, which at the end of the day is the ultimate goal. So I left there. I made the announcement that I wasn't going to be going to World Championships. And that day I sat in my apartment and I just cried. I didn't know what else to do. I felt like a piece of me was just gone. And so I got a game plan though. After that, I let myself feel it for 24 hours and I said, I'm not swimming right now. I have to take a break. So what am I going to do in its place? PT, acupuncture, we're going all in. So I started going 4 or 5 times a week. That was some of the hardest work I've ever done. I've been in PT my whole life, but doing it with your face is a whole different game. So I started doing that. But looking back on it now, and it's easy because everything is said and done with games, but that was probably one of the hardest times in my life, but I'm super grateful for it. Because for the first time, it gave me a chance to step back from swimming and reflect on everything and all the things that made me McKenzie. And it was almost like I was having one of those post-Rio moments, that self-reflection where I'm so much more than just a sport. And I knew I was going to get through it. It just was not going to be easy.
Oh, and you had so much emotion in Paris. And I think anyone that was fortunate enough to watch you race, to watch you get your silver medal, in particular, to watch your interviews after you got the silver medal, I don't know how you could watch that and not cry because you had so much emotion and so much gratitude, and hearing all of that, it's so evident why. Like you didn't even know if you were going to be there. You didn't even know if you were going to be swimming. And here you are at your 4th Paralympic Games, winning another Paralympic medal. So if you had one thing to say to maybe our listeners right now that are in that year out spot where they just are kind of in the thick of it and they don't know if there's a way or a path forward, what would you say to them?
I would say that the things and this is maybe what I've also learned along the way with my brittle bones and life too, is very kind of a similar situation when the Bell's palsy happened. But the things that happen in our lives either become the things that happen to you or the things that happen for you. And it's really easy when something bad happens to go down that place. Why is this happening to me? Woe is me. But you have a choice. And it's not always the easier choice, right? You have a choice to look at it as something that is happening for you, what you can gain from that, whether it's strength, perspective, anything good can come out of that situation as long as you're willing to work through it and see it through to the end. So I know things might be difficult, but as long as you keep that perspective that this could simply be one of the greatest things that ever happened to you, as crazy as that sounds, then you regain control in the situation and it becomes easier to keep going.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Is your pain tolerance mentally and physically like off the charts? Because you keep saying like, yeah, like a fractured ribs and then I broke up. Like I've never broken a bone, but like whenever I see someone, I've seen someone do it and they're screaming. Like, how do you do that? How do you keep breaking bones and just keep going?
I think along the way, I've definitely built up a really high pain tolerance, like physically. I think I didn't notice that until way later on, probably, in Rio when I won those medals there at training camp. I actually broke 3 ribs on a backstroke start. And it was something that we chose to keep quiet just because I knew physically I could get through the pain, but mentally I could overcome it. I knew I could do it. So I think both physically and mentally, I've kind of developed a high pain tolerance, but also techniques, kind of those perspectives that I shared to get me through those really tough situations, reframing my mind. And your mind is just so incredibly powerful. And I know as athletes, we talk about, like, obviously we go in and we train physically really hard every single day, but your mind is your greatest weapon. And as much as I use it in swimming, I also use it when it comes to fractures. So those things, when they come up, are simply a part of my life. And I'm not going to stop living my life. So what can I use mentally to get through that? I think has just been the difference for me. There are certain fractures, and being a fracture expert, self-appointed fracture expert.
We will appoint.
Yes, I think multiple people would appoint you as that.
At this point, having broken nearly everything you would probably break, knock on wood, I feel like a broken femur is probably the worst pain I have ever experienced, and probably the worst pain a person could ever experience. So those are the times when it has to come through the most for me. And that actually gives me strength to keep going with the other ones, to be honest.
Oh my gosh. So if you're out there right now and you have a minor cold or a minor muscle strain, get up.
Channel your inner McKenzie Coan.
Exactly.
You got this.
Moral of the story.
I'm just gonna be like the MC mindset. I'm gonna coin it.
Wait, I love
that's
that.
what we all need.
Trademark that.
I love that.
Well, we're so excited about everything you have coming up too, honey. You mentioned in the beginning you're still training, so you're gonna be looking towards LA in 28, which is so fun, and you're looking at law school now. So just quickly tell us why law school.
So a lot of reasons, but I grew up in and out of the hospital every 3 months. And when I was going through treatments, I would always look for ways to kind of keep my mind occupied besides schoolwork. And one day I remember someone was telling me about disability advocacy and that there were lawyers out there who were making differences for people with disabilities and giving those who didn't have a voice, a platform to kind of air the things that they were going through and make meaningful change. And I decided from that point on, I started doing a lot of reading. Mama Coan and we did a lot of Googling, and I decided I was going to be a disability rights lawyer one day. And I have held that very close to my heart over the years. And as much as I truly love swimming, that is definitely my other love, is that goal and dream. So to be finally applying and starting that dream next year, it feels really good to just imagine what I could do for others.
Do you have a dream law school that would be like number one, you have to go there?
To be honest with you, my favorite movie still to this day is Legally Blonde. So Harvard Law School would be incredible. And being in Boston now, there's so many wonderful schools. So I would be incredibly lucky to go to any of them. But just to fulfill my Elle Woods dream, Harvard would be
pink power
fantastic.
suit on you would look.
And you know what makes a pink power suit look even better? A pink wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, we'll double it up.
Call the fashion police and get them on the phone. Let's do it. Let's go shopping. It's happening.
Let's go shopping. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, I also read that you're in the disability advocacy. I cannot speak. You're in the disability advocacy space. Say that fast 3 times. But you also talk about Title IX. Is that still something that you're moving towards as well?
Absolutely. I actually worked at Loyola. After I graduated, I worked part-time in addition to training on campus in one of the student resource offices. And a lot of the work I did was with the campus attorney on Title IX related issues. And having the opportunity to learn from her, it fueled me talking to athletes and talking to the school about these really important issues. And that's certainly an area that I would love to work more in one day when I have my law degree. And obviously, as a female athlete, it's something very near and dear to my heart. So I would absolutely love to work in that space.
What's the number one issue that we should all be thinking about and focusing on?
Honestly, when I go and I love public speaking, I love engaging with people, but it's the young female athletes that I talk to that always kind of have that really soft spot in my heart, because keeping them involved in athletics, keeping them interested, and keeping those opportunities open for them while also opening up even more opportunities. That's the most important thing to me. So that sort of outreach to young women and young athletes across the country is really important to me. It's something I will continue to do. I love being involved in my communities and just seeing these young female athletes and encouraging them, whatever it looks like, whatever sport they're in, that they have a space and they have a place for them when they get to that level is so important to me.
Absolutely.
It's amazing to think about the impact you've had, and you haven't even started law school yet. Like you're just at the beginning of your journey of impact, and it's already been so immense. And so it's an honor to get to witness what you do and the impact you have on so many people. And we're just so thankful for you.
Thank you. Oh, that means a lot.
All right, my girl, we're going to get into some fun stuff. We're going to go into our power play section. So these are like our rapid fire questions. So first one for me is, do you have any pre-race superstitions?
Yes, I always have my toenails painted pink. Always.
Love it. A little bit of Elle Woods for wherever you go.
Are you toenails and fingernails, or just toenails?
Okay, so not so much fingernails. I love to have a nice little coat of something on them, but specifically the toenails, because the way sometimes I start with both my feet at the edge. It just depends on the block, but that's the last thing I see before I dive in. And the pink makes me feel powerful. So
I love that.
Me too. Okay, ideal date night with your boyfriend.
Ooh, probably a movie night in, honestly. Like, if that tells you anything, let's go back. Okay, yeah, I would definitely rather stay in. And I was like, yeah, there we go. Probably like a movie night on the couch. We also have a cat named Mookie, so we love to snuggle up with him. But just making dinner and watching a movie is probably my go-to.
I love that. We would do very well together. Yeah.
I love that.
Missy has promised me post-pregnancy that I get one night, like one not like rager, but one like out on the town on Broadway in Nashville.
And I'm still trying to convince her to have it during the day. Like,
oh my
staying up for me is just like my least favorite thing in the world.
But pretend this is what it's going to be like a time change. Like you're going to take a nap. We're a whole strategy. She's going to take a nap from 5 to 8. Okay. You're going to get up. You're going to get ready. Look hot. Be like, everyone's gonna be like, you have 2 children, and then we're gonna have a little cocktail, and like I have a whole itinerary, so you can come.
She has also agreed to pay for my childcare for the next day. Yes, so that is the only reason I have somewhat agreed to do this.
Wait, I love it. I love that you have a whole like sleeping nap planned out beforehand. Because when you guys do this, send me a text, call me. I'll hop on a plane. I've never been to Nashville, so I'll come.
Perfect. Done. Okay, we're set. You're getting the invite. Okay, your own personal hero. It can be in the sporting space or outside of it, whichever you choose.
I gotta say my mom on this one. Obviously, I've had the honor of watching so many incredible female athletes, like you guys included, watching them and just wanting to be like you guys. But my mom, the way that she raised me, and my dad too as well, but just always reminding me what was possible, even in the midst of the circumstances that we were up against, and never allowing anyone to dictate my capabilities, and teaching me to take that into my adult years too. She's incredible. I only hope one day to be half the mom that she has been to me.
You will be.
Amen.
No
Yes. All right. You ready for a very specific scenario?
I'm ready.
This is going to tell us everything we need to know about you. All right. No pressure. So you pull up at a red light. There's one car in front of you.
Okay.
The light then turns green. Mm-hmm. The person in front of you does not go. What do you do?
You know what? I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be like, you know what? They have probably had such a long day. They're probably so tired. And I really hope no one else blows at them. Like, I feel so much for them. They're going to look up. They're going to see that it's green eventually.
No courtesy little like, boop. You're waiting the whole time.
I literally, when I drive, and maybe that's just such a different version of myself, I love to give people the benefit of the doubt. Oh, they almost cut me off and like sent me into a tree or something. Oh, they're probably just, something happened, having a bad day.
That is the most wholesome answer ever.
I'm 0% surprised by that answer.
Yeah, I'm not either. If you had said like I would lay on the horn immediately, I'd be like, wait, we need to roll the interview back because like that's not what I'm picking up from you.
Yeah, they probably just had a really rough day. They'll go eventually. We'll all get to go.
We're all going. We're going to
get to where we need to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
You are the cutest human in the whole world. Okay, last one for me. Favorite race from your entire career thus far?
My 400 freestyle at the Rio Paralympic Games, the final. I have never
with broken ribs.
With broken ribs and all, I have never felt so free. It took me back to like my aqua therapy days when I would feel that. It was incredible. It was like I was out there, and the weird thing was I had a great swim. I had a great time. I just didn't get tired. It's just the energy and the gratitude just fueled me.
Amazing.
So amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, last one for me. Do you have any fun ready room stories?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So there's one in particular. It also comes from Rio. We were in the call room for the 50 free final, which actually ended up being my first ever Paralympic gold medal. And we were in the call room, and I'm kind of short. I'm like 4 feet tall. Okay, I had just recently, I did really well with my sprinting that year. I really had a breakout year in it. So I don't fit the typical mold of a sprinter. But we were in the call room, and I was seated first. I was a bundle of nerves, and I just remember one of my other competitors coming over to me, and I was standing up for a second, and she stood beside me, of course, towering over me. She's probably over 6 feet tall. And I just remember I looked up, and she looked down at me, and she smirked. And I said, "Not today." And when I come out for that race, I very rarely watch my races back, but I had to see that one. You see it in my face before the final of the 50 free in Rio. I am just wired from that interaction. And she kept
a little jerk.
I know. It's just so crazy because I've had such wonderful experiences. Like, people have been so nice, even with my earphones in, like, everybody's so nice. But just that one experience, I always have to laugh about because you can see it written on my face when I come out. It's hilarious.
And you know what? It's so funny because I feel like we always kind of preach here, like, we let our swimming talk for us.
Yeah.
Because it's so funny. It always has it's like jealousy. It always has the opposite effect that you want it to have.
Yes.
Like, she smirked thinking it was going to intimidate you. And what did it do instead? Absolutely just made you go off the rails, like unbeatable. Like, it just does, like, don't do it.
Like, don't awaken the beast. Like, do not do it.
She did not have much to say afterwards, let me tell you. She didn't even look at me. So I was like, yeah, I guess we figured that out. I guess
we solved that.
Great. We settled that.
I love that. We have McKenzie in the car waiting behind the red light, just sitting there all day long, and we also have McKenzie when she gets smirked at.
Yep. Edgy McKenzie.
I love it.
All right, my girl, we're going to head into our final 3 questions because we want to be super thoughtful of your time. We could talk to you forever, but same questions we ask all of our guests. And the first one is, what is your favorite moment or memory from your career?
Oh my goodness. I'd have to say, again, in Rio, like, I just feel like I have so many wonderful experiences from that meet. I was up in the stands with my family celebrating that 50 freestyle gold. And I didn't really understand that you couldn't go into the stands with a gold medal at games just out, or a lot of people want to come see it. So we kind of like got swarmed a little bit, but there was this little girl and she was in a little pink wheelchair and she was like kind of moving through the crowd with her mom and like trying to get, you know, my attention and everything. So I like waved her through because my family was kind of like, they created this circle around me just to kind of hold people off. So she came up and she had traveled across Brazil with her mother and she had the same condition as myself. And she said that because I had gone out there and done it, she knows that she can. And I think that's a really big moment for me. Looking back, it kind of just hit me that this is so much more than just going out and swimming. It means so much more than that.
Wow. I can't even imagine how you must have felt in that moment. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's surreal.
Take that with
me. So same question, a moment or memory outside your career that brings you the most amount of joy.
I think when I'm up, I really do love speaking. When I'm up on a stage and I'm connecting with people and just talking about life, and then afterwards when I get to meet everyone and they'll come up and share something maybe really vulnerable with me. And I can connect and relate with them on that level. And that, to me, it just makes all of this worth it. I love connecting with other people. I love hearing other people's triumphs. And I love talking to them about where they've been in their lives. And I just that human connection. And I'm so lucky that I get to do it through all of this. I wouldn't be able to do it without it. So that to me, those are my favorite moments, hands down.
I also feel like I talked to someone, I think it was Katie Ledecky about this, I feel like public speaking has such a parallel to racing because like you're kind of nervous before you get up there. There's never a perfect speech, right? You can always make it better, connect better. And then it goes well. And then you have this high from it. And like, do you feel like that as well?
Katie, you have just hit on every single feeling I have ever had.
It's addicting, right?
It is. Every speaking engagement I've ever done. I've actually tried to tell someone that one time. I was like, the adrenaline is like I'm about to go out and race. It's the same adrenaline. It's never delivered. Like my story is never quite delivered the same way twice. But it always comes out in such a unique way and in ways that I never even would have thought of until I'm on the stage and it comes out. So that that floored me just then. You took the words out of my mouth. That's what it's like.
Nailed it.
Literally.
Wow.
All right. Our final question is if you had to pick one word to encompass something that's been important to you up until this point, something you've really kind of lived your life by, or something that you're working on moving forward, what would that word be and why?
I think unbreakable.
Oh my
I
gosh,
think that's my
love
word.
that.
And it's, of course, it's, tied to my condition and what I've gone through in life, but I think it's also my mindset. Anything that comes my way, I might break at times, but I will never be broken. And that I will take with me in swimming, in school, at my job, just in life. That's me. Just unbreakable.
That is you. Oh, mic drop. I mean, McKenzie, thank you. Thank you. Words don't describe your message, your story, you. So just thank you for coming on, sharing everything, being vulnerable, and you're about to have an incredible 2025.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. This has been a blast. We could do this for hours. I love it.
Hours. We love you, hon. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful start to your new year.
Thank you.